Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan went back and forth debating about World War II and the United Kingdom on Carlson's podcast recently.
Started with Carlson claiming that the UK had been in decline ever since the war, but Piers Morgan disagreed with him, gave credit to former UK Prime Minister Winston Churchill for saving the country.
I wouldn't say it's been in decline since the war. There was a lot of recovery after the war. It was a devastating war. I mean, one of the most extraordinary aspects of that war is that Winston Churchill, who many people here to this day believe pretty well single-handedly rallied the morale of the people here to help us defeat the Nazis, albeit with obviously America's help, that he, at the end of the war, he got thrown out of office because so many people came back to a really bad lifestyle.
But Carlson pushed back on that, arguing that Britain only had itself to blame because, as he says, it voluntarily joined the war.
I'm not defending Hitler, of course, but it's just a fact that you weren't attacked. So when you say that Churchill saved Britain, well, Britain got into the war voluntarily.
Well, not voluntarily. One of our neighbouring European countries was attacked, and it was quite clear that Adolf Hitler and the Nazis wanted to take over Europe. This was an existential threat to Europe and therefore to the UK.
The two then brought the conversation back around to the present day, Carlson arguing that the UK, in particular the city of London, has changed so dramatically in recent years due to immigration. It's become a point of contention in the country, with some British people feeling the country's losing the culture of its past. Carlson appeared to side with them, saying they have a right to be upset.
I'm just saying the things that made Britain, Britain, England. Is there still an England? I have no idea. Those are going away because there are different people living here. And if you think that those are good things, in the same way that the Swedes or the Chinese or the people in Burundi and Chad, they like their culture. It's their ancestors' culture. And now it's gone. And why can't we say that's bad?
Interesting discussion. I think you're never getting off on great footing when you start with, and by the way, I'm not defending Hitler, blah, blah, blah. Some of this World War II historical revisionism that various people are engaged in, I don't get it at all. Yes, I take the point that Britain was not directly attacked first. Their allies were attacked, and so they joined the war. I don't know, it just doesn't seem realistic that Hitler could have been appeased. Hitler made a peace deal with the Soviet Union and then attacked them anyway. He perhaps would not have attacked the UK, but he invaded Poland. He took over France. His allies, the allies of Nazi Germany, was Imperial Japan, and they attacked us first. So there's perfidy involved. I don't really understand the argument that this. Uniquely of all wars, many wars we fought, I disagree with. If we want to do revisionism, we should go back to World War I, which was fought over absolutely nothing, and just is people, so-called civilized nations of the world, deciding to throw thousands and thousands of young men into a meat grinder. It's just awful. World War II, you had a genocidal dictator take over a country and try to conquer all of Europe. What were we supposed to do? Do nothing? It just makes very little sense to do revisionism on that war. You want to talk about World War I, you want to talk about Korea, Vietnam, Iraq. I'm with you on all of that. You want to go back in time, Franco-Prussia, Napoleon, whatever. But World War II, I mean, that one had some existential stakes to it. So I don't know how I can pretend otherwise.
And I go back and forth about trying to figure out if Tucker is just trolling everyone or if he actually means it. Because he's trying to say that, entering World War II was not like this heroic stand against fascism, but he also is tying it to the fact that it was Britain's downfall simply because of the demographic change and all that happened after that.
Right, but that's not...
His argument about, the mass immigration after that, low birth rates, he really went into detail about how the Britain, as he understands it to be, should basically be mostly white and not diverse. And so does it change completely because it's not a wide variety of people that have come after the war, which I think is absurd. And also looking at the history, Britain's history does not include a wide variety of different people in it. And so when he says things like that, I think that's racially coded language to say, oh, shouldn't you be closing the borders and just have what it initially was? And America is beautiful because of all the wide variety of people. Like you say, your family is Italian, right? And so we are here and we are still Americans. And I think when he looks at Britain and says, well, it was the downfall, and then particularly ties it to all the different groups that have come after the war, I think that was a bigger issue for me.
You can also just make that criticism without having anything to do with the war. If you don't like the level of, let's be honest about what he's talking about, Muslim migration to the UK, you can be upset about that, but it just doesn't connect to what happened in World War II at all. I mean, having the UK run by Nazi Germany would be a UK in which all the Jewish people were going to be killed.
Right,
and
that would be a worse situation.
It would be very, very bad. So we should be against that. And then if you want to object to the level of immigration that the UK has, that's fine. I would point out that the UK was an empire that had Indian people in it and people of all over the world because they sought to make colonies all over the world. And so it was in some levels a multiracial empire because they themselves chose to go out and make other parts of the world part of the UK. And that happened well before World War II.
So then what is Tucker's endgame in this? Obviously we know that
he thinks Muslim.
But you always say everything ties back to like being like with him and Candace Owens. They're tying back to the same thing every time. Is this one of those conversations that he's trying to, because the way that you just brought it there, like, okay, so if they didn't enter World War II and then Hitler remained in control, like, is what you're saying Tucker's trying to say? Because he said Hitler's not that bad. Like, I don't know what rabbit hole he's going down.
He's not defending
No,
Hitler.
he said not defending Hitler. Yeah, my bad. I don't want to misquote him there. But the fact that he's even bringing that up in the conversation, the argument has been consistently to everybody that's defending him is, why are you defending this guy who can't just say these things flat out like Candace Owens, that everything is not some fault of Israel? And it seems like it's circling back to that argument. I'm like, well, why? What is wrong? Like, I don't understand the obsession at this point.
Well, he's having conversations. He's invited onto his show. Podcasters and amateur historians who take different views of these conflicts, including, I can't think of the guy's name at the moment, who takes the view and has expressed the view on Tucker Carlson's show, I believe, or at least on social media, that Daryl Cooper, that's him, thank you, is that Winston Churchill is a more villainous figure than Adolf Hitler. I don't see how you can arrive at that viewpoint. I think you can certainly criticize Winston Churchill. The left has criticized Winston Churchill forever for his support for the British Empire prior to World War II. There's lots of criticisms to be made of Winston Churchill. I don't understand the criticism of Winston Churchill when juxtaposed with Hitler and the actions during World War II, in which it seems very clear that Churchill provided extremely necessary leadership to stop the country from being eventually conquered by an insane authoritarian regime that would have killed the Jewish population of the country, and that was allied and that conquered all of France and was allied with Japan, which attacked us. So
that's what Tucker has a huge audience.
We did get attacked. My question all of it, the U.S. We got attacked first by Hitler's allies, and then we gave it back to them.
He can't be on an island alone, though. Tucker has this huge following that I'm trying to really understand. Because if you and I are sitting here and both like, this is ridiculous, are a large swath of, and I don't want to say MAGA, I don't know, of his followers all like, you're right.
I don't think the idea that there should be less refugees from the Middle East immigrating into the UK, I don't think that's an insane idea. I mean, that's an idea that probably a majority of people in America have, that maybe a majority of people in the UK have, that that it is contributing to crime and disorder and other problems. I mean, that is the view being expressed. Now, again, that has nothing to do with World War II, and I don't know why we need to relitigate World War II, and largely I don't think we should. But that's, to me, totally separate from the conversation of what level of immigration is good. Here in the U.S., we face a lot of waves of immigration from South America that I am, and then high-skilled migrants from India and China, and I am largely supportive to some degree of all those levels of immigration. But if we were proximate to the Middle East and we were facing wave after wave of refugees from war-torn nations that we had a hand in dismantling, people who don't necessarily like us because we contributed to the fall of their order in their society, I don't know. It would be a little. I think it would be trickier. Maybe liberals don't think it would be trickier. I think it would be definitely trickier about how much of that we would say yes to.
We need to get Tucker on the show and just explain himself over here about connecting these dots for us.
Maybe one day.
We have a lot to talk about. Stay with us on Rising.